Welcome to the January 24th meeting of the Rotary Club of South Jackson. It's a great day to be a member of Rotary. We ask that you silence your phones and conversations. And if you are attending on Zoom, we welcome you also and ask that you mute yourself. Okay. How's this better? Okay, very good. My thanks to Dean Scott past President Dean Scott for welcoming our guests today. And I'd like to invite Julia Kalinsky up for our pledge and prayer.
Pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Bow your heads with me. Lord, we come before you with a heart of gratitude today for all you've given us in this incredible country. I pray today specifically for wisdom and peace in Ukraine and Russia. I pray that you guide all the governments in the world. I pray for the innocent lives lost in the conflict, for the families who are grieving. I pray for a resolution to this conflict and that is just and peaceful. We pray for healing for those who are hurting. We pray for your love and grace to be extended to all involved. Amen.
Thank you, Julia. I know all of us joined in that prayer. I'd like to recognize past President Bob Massey to introduce our guests and visiting Rotarians.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is my privilege to introduce the visiting Rotarians and guests of our members. Do we have any visiting Rotarians? I didn't see anybody on the list. Seeing no hands, I'll move right to the guests. Mary Alice Phelan, you have a guest?
I do. Thanks. My guest is Jen White, who was retired administrator with Jackson University, was really excited about women. And Jen is also Jay Baldwin. Welcome, Jen.
Welcome. Tom Randy, would you please introduce your guest?
I'll be happy to. This is Jan Springer. She's a realtor with the RA Davis Lane.
Lynn Bauman, do you have a guest, please?
This is my good friend, Vicky Short. She's in commercial finance, formerly with West Corporation, and
Welcome. Any other guests that didn't get on the list? Seeing none, we'll go right to the welcome.
Thank you, Bob. Tell you what, I'm going to hang on to Family of Rotary so Julia can actually get a bite. Just a couple of special announcements. As always, please sure to review the DAC TV calendar regularly to learn about our upcoming meetings, service projects, and social events. You can also make reservations on DAC TV. As a reminder, there will be a board meeting immediately following today's luncheon. And the second reminder is there will be no luncheon next week. No luncheon next week. In lieu of lunch, there will be a social that evening at Riverside Liquors from 5:30 to 7:30. My understanding is that there will be some adult beverages served. And food, yeah, something to hang on to the adult beverages. So, as you all may be aware, it's an annual tradition of the club to have our Founders Day luncheon as close to the week of our actual founding, and that comes today. So in connection with our Founders Day, I would like to recognize President-elect Leslie Redd for a short presentation. Leslie?
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy recognition of our Founders Day today. On September 13th, 1954, the matter of a second Rotary Club in Jacksonville came up for discussion. There was not universal agreement on the matter, but there was universal agreement that any action should be deferred for at least another month. Typical Rotary fashion. 4 weeks later, the Rotary Club of Jacksonville, today's Downtown Club, went behind closed doors to debate the need for a second Rotary Club in the city. While the debate was said to be spirited, it resulted in a proposal on the table to cede that portion of the city and tributary territory lying south of the St. Johns River to a Rotary Club of South Jacksonville. However, the club reserved the right to admit members from that territory whose business, executive duties, or professional activities are wide in scope, and without affecting the status of any present member of that club. So the Rotary Club of South Jacksonville was formed on a vote of 126 to 62, which reached the requisite 2/3 vote needed to change the original Rotary Club of Jacksonville charter.
By one vote.
By one vote.
One vote.
By one vote. Charter members. So much work was necessary before the Rotary Club of South Jacksonville came into being with the granting of its charter on January 27, 1955. The district governor requested Frank Sherman to survey South Jacksonville and submit a confidential report on good and eligible prospects of different businesses and professional classifications. The report was completed and turned in with favorable recommendations, At the request of past president and Rotary International Ken Guernsey, a handful of prospective members met with him for preliminary indoctrination. This resulted in our 26 chapter club founders of 1955. The charter ceremony was a memorable one. Members of the South Jacksonville Club and their wives were seated at tables in the center of the ballroom of the Hotel George Washington, similar to this lovely room, with over 600 Rotarians and spouses from Jacksonville and 14 other host clubs filling the room. President of Rotary International, Herb Taylor, author of the four-way test, gave a truly inspirational talk and presented the charter to Frank Sherman. On receiving the Frank Sherman requested the new South Jacksonville Rotarians and their Rotary Anns, which is their wives, to stand. It was an impressive scene. These 26 new Rotarians and their proud Rotarians stood in the center of the ballroom with the floodlights on them while Frank expressed their gratitude for being the new Rotary Club of South Jacksonville. He pledged that all would make an earnest effort to live up to everything that was expected of them, to make the Jacksonville Club proud of the part they had played in forming this new club. The Jacksonville Club presented Frank Sherman and officers of the Rotary Club of South Jacksonville a Rotary bell and gavel. The Hotel George Washington on the corner of Adams and Julia Streets was a 15-story luxury hotel that was in operation from 1926 to 1971. In its later years, it was one of only 2 luxury hotels in the downtown area. By the 1960s, it was the only 5-star hotel in the area after the demise of the Hotel Roosevelt. So our first club officers, there's our first past president, Frank Sherman, in the center of the front row, along with the original charter officers and directors. Meeting locations. Our meeting locations include the Green Turtle. We've got Vale's Steakhouse. Valley, I've only been here 15 years, sorry. Valley Steakhouse, most definitely. Crown Plaza Hotel. Radisson Wyndham Hotel, which is now, was Marina St. John's Hotel and is now the Lexington Hotel. And then also where we meet now, River City, well, previously River City Brewing Company. And then Southside Baptist Church. And of course, most recently here at the Doubletree. Making sure. So sponsored clubs. Rotary Club of South Jacksonville has sponsored and assisted in founding the Rotary Club of Mandarin in 1975, the Rotary Club of South Point in 1999, the Rotary Club of San Jose in 2003, the Rotary Club of San Marco in 2008, the Rotary Club of Northwest Jacksonville in 2021, the Bishop Kenny Rotaract Club, and the Rotaract Club, I'm sorry, Bishop Kenny Interact Club, and then the Rotaract Club of Florida's First Coast in 1990. An excerpt from a letter to the Rotary Club of South Jacksonville from the late Dr. Paul Morey, written circa 1965. A little known fact about Rotary in South Jacksonville has often been related by Rotarian Larry Payne, one of the club's founders. At our fireside meetings, in which the background of Rotary is presented to new Rotarians and their Rotarians. This is the interesting story of how Rotary perhaps really started in Jacksonville. Paul Harris lived in this community for several years just before moving to Chicago. As Larry relates it, when Paul arrives in Chicago, he missed the fellowship which he had enjoyed in Jacksonville, and this motivated him to form Rotary. In the same letter, Paul writes, some Rotarians initially expressed concern for their ability to contribute the time necessary for regular meeting attendance and other Rotary activities, but almost invariably, as they grow in Rotary, they become deeply involved, because after all, anything which one really enjoys does not seem like work. The spirit of Rotary is a thing which gradually evolves in each member, depending on strength and vitality of their club and their interest in serving others. Rotary recognizes that life's great satisfaction comes in dedication to service. This statement is as true today as it was in 1965. If we could raise our glasses for a toast. Today, we celebrate the founding of our club through celebration and honor of our charter members, all former and current club Rotarians. Their dedication and hard work will ensure the Rotary Club of South Jacksonville will always be one of the truly great clubs in all of Rotary.
Thank you, Leslie. We'll redo that toast next week when we have the appropriate beverage. All right. I can think of no better day to induct new members of the club than around our Founders Day. So I'd like to ask Cole Shad, Melissa Browden, and Cindy Covington to come up along with their sponsors, Bill Langley and past President Bill Langley and past President Tom Rainey. All come up. And Barry, I think we'll need you up here too at some point. So introduce Cole and Melissa.
Sure. It's my honor to introduce you guys again to Cole Shad. He's a native here of Jacksonville, went to Episcopal High School, then went off to that state over in Tallahassee we call Florida State. Ooh, there you got a lot of folks here on that one. He, like I said, he grew up here and he is now a financial planner with, Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley. I'm sorry. Okay. I use Merrill Lynch myself, but, family thing. Cole is looking to get back involved in community activities and help, us, with our future service projects. So we welcome Cole. Next, I'd like to introduce you to Melissa Langley Browdy. She is my daughter. She was married a couple years ago to her husband, Prescott. She also was a native of Jacksonville, went to Bishop High School, and then off to that, Florida State University. She is back here as the Community Development Political Director for the Ferentino Group, a political group that does state and national legislation. And she also is in charge of their fundraising development. And she is big into party planning events. She's going to be helping us with our gala this year. And we look forward to getting to know Melissa. Melissa.
Bob, would you please introduce?
Cindy, who needs no introduction. I have a few prepared remarks. How nervous she was. Yeah, I've been telling Cindy for years that whenever she was ready, I'd be delighted to welcome her to our club and propose her membership to our club. It's very gracious of her husband, Barry, to afford me this opportunity. Thank you, Barry. We both thank you. I told Cindy I'd be brief and simply share that she'd been a Rotarian for 24 years, is happily married to Barry, and has been CEO and president of their company, Monument Leasing, for nearly 20 years. I lied. Cindy is a founding member and past president of the Rotary Club of South Point, Rotary International Strategic Planning Chair, serving a 4-year term through 2026, a current Zone 34 and 33 Summit Chair, 2022 through 24, Rotary International Training Leader, 2018 through 19, Rotary International Support Training Leader, 2021 through 22, Rotary International Council on Legislation Member at Large, 2016 through 2019, Rotary International President's Representative, 2012, 2019 through 2020, Rotary International Convention Breakout Session Presenter, Panelist, Moderator, 2011, 17, and 19, and of course, District 6970 Governor, 2010 through 2011. Quite a resume, eh? Cindy is also the Vice Chair of Handwash, the Haiti National Water Sanitation and Hygiene Initiative, and since its inception, as well as the Board of Directors of the National POW MIA Memorial and Museum since its inception. Cindy shared she has a passion to leave a wake of kindness and compassion that encourages others to pay it forward and help make the world a better place for our children's children and the generations that will come by. Please help me welcome our newest member, Cindy Clement.
I hear an introduction like that, and I think, well, what was she personally? Right, this time I'll recognize Barry Covington to present the charge.
Tell you a little bit of what she's done lately. Since our dining room converted into our Zoom room for quite a while. Going to read a good bit of this because I was forced to give it some thought. And you know what a scary thing it would be if I got up here without really.
We don't have the time.
Nice. Melissa, Cole, Cindy, fellow Rotarians. It's the responsibility of every Rotarian to recruit new quality members and retain our existing members to ensure continued success in meeting the many needs of our local and international communities and to extend the spirit of Rotary through the community. Just think of the impact Rotary has had on your professional and personal life as a result of someone inviting you to a Rotary meeting. So you three, you've been elected to membership in this club because your fellow members believe you to be a worthy representative of your vocation and also possess qualities that will permit you to exemplify in your public, business, social, and private life the true spirit of Rotary. Rotary is a service club with each member adhering to our motto, service above self. One profits most who serves best. Rotary Club of South Jacksonville has a rich history of 68 years of service to this community, the Rotary District, Rotary Zone, and Rotary Worldwide through international fellowship, networking, and service projects of many kinds. Notice the word fellowship in describing Rotary International's founder, Paul Harris, and his chief reason for inviting 3 other business friends to join him in that original meeting in Chicago. It was fellowship, networking. In your fireside chat, you heard the object of Rotary is to encourage and foster the ideal of service as a basis of worthy enterprise. Yes, this may sound a bit outdated in today's language, but it still embodies a core principle of Rotary as stated in our motto referencing service above self. The 4-way test about the things we think, see, or do was originally developed by Herb Taylor, whom Leslie referenced. He saved a failing company by changing its culture and giving it a purposeful direction. 4-way test continues to serve us all well today. So in my final comments, I'm almost final. I encourage you with a few specifics. As a new member, you'll have opportunities to get to know existing members, and they'll want to get to know you. Attend each week's meeting. The more time spent with others, the better acquainted you become. Arrive early, have time to chat with other members. Be active in club committees. Participate in club social events. It's nice to engage other members outside of regular meetings. Participate in work projects and fundraisers. It's another opportunity to get to know others. Avoid some of the internet's clickbait and spend time on Rotary.org. It's an interesting site. You'll learn some things. There's a great amount of information online about Rotary, and you may discover something that truly interests you. Now, here's a special feature today that I wanted to include in this because I think it fits in well with our Founders Day celebration and our new member introduction. The second president of this club was Ed Abercrombie, an insurance agent. A lot of people did business with Ed. And when Ed passed away, his son Jim was going through his things, dad's things, and he said, Barry, because I knew him well, he wrote our insurance, as a matter of fact. And he said, I've got some things I'd like to give you. And one was a big box full of files that have some interesting reading in there, and I won't get into that. The other thing, though, was happy anniversary. Rotary Club of South Jacksonville, January 27, 1955, January 28, 1964. So on the 9th anniversary, a caricature artist, and maybe some of you in college remember how they come to the campuses and do caricatures of people. So here were the members, and included here are little things indicating what their business or profession was. There's well, wait a minute, let me start right here. E. Robert Langley Jr., the Oldsmobile dealer here, and father of Bill, grandfather of Bill, great-grandfather of Melissa. And then there are others, people who, as I look at this, yes, I knew a number of them. I was not there. I came later, but I had the pleasure of getting to know these people. They were leaders in the South Side. I mean, this was the club. So I am willing this at this point to the Langley family, because I think they'll be great caretakers of it. And I think you know everybody, or knew everybody who was on it.
Most of them.
Yeah, so anyway, we'll try to work together to get the others identified. So in closing, I hope you'll all join me in welcoming our 3 new members, get to know them well. Mike, I'm sorry. You, I know, have always been under the impression that you were my favorite Rotarian. She really got my favorite. You're a close second. Join.
So, you do the honors.
Here's your back with all my goodies. Encourage. We encourage you to come early and stand up at the front door and meet the folks as they come in. Call them by their first name and get to know them. Cole, congratulations.
And we have certain tasks that we hope all of you Red Badgers will do in terms of getting the meetings going, and eventually you'll graduate to the. And Cindy, no bag for you. Thank you. Thank you all. Where did you grab my minutes?
Just got one. You're on your own.
Okay. Oh, here we go. All right, Bill, 2 minutes. There we go. All right, I'm gonna recognize, Bill Trayer for a very short, truncated, condensed update on Paul Harris's prospects.
Thank you, President Charlie. I have like 5 pages here that I was gonna go through today.
Say something for next year.
I'll skip those. Harlan did a very good job last week, so I'm gonna go right into this. Because it really kind of fits in with the Southside Club, which, as we know, Paul Harris did visit down here in the state for a while, so worked for a stone company. So last week, we reported on the creation of Rotary Club number 2, which was in San Francisco. And Homer Wood was the first president. Like Paul Harris, Homer wanted to continue Rotary expansion, made the acquaintance of Arthur Holman, manager of the San Francisco office of the Travelers Insurance Company. This was a great introduction. Arthur contacted Frank Jewett, the Travelers agent in Oakland, and on November 27, 1908, Rotary Club number 2 with 25 founding members. It's called the Tri-City Club because representatives came from Oakland, Berkeley, and Alameda. Homer continued his mission of spreading Rotary. He contacted his brother, Walton Wood, in Los Angeles about starting an LA club. They were successful in starting an LA Rotary Club by going to, again, the LA Travelers Insurance. These guys, that was one of the best they ever made because it spread all over. Again, with assistance of Arthur Holman. In a short time, through Travelers Insurance offices in West Coast cities, another club was also formed in Seattle. By the end of 1908, there were 4 Rotary clubs, including the original Chicago Club. As in Chicago, it didn't take long for a difference of opinion over the goals of the club to materialize. That's why I love this talk today, because it kind of gets into that. Was the club designed to do good in the community, or was it supposed to benefit the businessmen members in their day-to-day existence? The question caused a rift in the San Francisco Club. Faced with overwhelming support for the business exchange principles, that argument won the day at that time. Invited speakers spoke less about civic responsibilities and more about business-related theories such as better merchandising methods. Like Paul Harris, Homer Wood tried straddling the desires of both camps, but was not always successful. In 1910, the club finally did take a stance for civic promotion when they agreed to endorse the Panama Pacific Exposition scheduled for 1915 in San Francisco. The Tri-City Club as well went through the same argument. Finally, in 1909, took on its first community project, paving one of the city's commuter streets. Hard to imagine that. In Los Angeles, the principal argument in recruiting new members was trade with each other. Civic projects were not considered. Paul Harris faced this problem and changed the direction of Rotary. The membership liked the idea of business exchange, and they were reluctant to seriously become involved in community service. This competing dualism was present in every single early club formed. As more clubs were being formed, Harry Ruggles became the Chicago Club president in February of 2009. He knew that many of the members were uncomfortable with what was happening, so he developed a written platform outlining his goals. He contained 7 planks for his presidency, including plank 5, expansion with due caution, plank 6, taking up a certain amount of civic work, as I do not believe the best results can be obtained by purely selfish motives. With new clubs sprouting like weeds across the country, how could this unstructured growth be controlled? Paul had been right about once the Rotary expansion was out, the genie was out of the box, there was no stopping. Harry Ruggles faced one question: what should be done with Paul now that he had resigned his position in Rotary and he was just dedicating himself to going out and expanding? So next week, Rotary region.
At this time, I'm going to recognize Bill Khalil to introduce our speaker.
Good afternoon. I'm pleased to introduce Dean Nick Allard, who joined Jacksonville University just last year as the founding dean of the College of Law. Dean Allard previously served as dean of Brooklyn Law School from 2012 to 2018. He is a distinguished attorney, having held leadership positions in some of the most highly regarded firms in the world. Nick has been a member of the American Bar Association Standing Committee on Government Affairs, chaired its Communications Committee, and currently chairs its Standing Committee on the Law Library of Congress. He received his JD from Yale Law School and holds a BA from Princeton University's School of Public and International Affairs. It's my pleasure to introduce Dean Allard.
Thank you, Your Honor, Judge Khalil, for those warm remarks. Thank you all for warm welcome to Jacksonville, South Jacksonville. Charlie, Mitchell, Richard, Mary, Ray, Jay, and Bob. Great conversation at lunch. That's what you get. This is full circle for me. I could spend the entire few moments allotted to me with stories about my experience with Rotary, but I won't. But we like to give a little evidence. I'd say that in my junior and senior years in high school, once a month I'd accompany our school superintendent as the student body president for those 2 years at the Rotary Club meeting once a month, upstate New York. And when I graduated, I got a $150 Rotary scholarship, which back in the day was real money, you know. In fact, it matched about 1 year's tuition at a New York State school. So it was a significant thing and much appreciated. I won't talk about my roommate and great lifelong friend, Glenn Carbo Yannick, who was pulling guard for the Princeton Tigers and was so proud to be named. He was more proud of being named the Serbo-Croatian Player of the Year from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, than being all Ivy. So that was a great distinction. And then my teammate, rower and rugby player, Randy Bobier from Colorado Springs, a leading passer in the United States, who was over at Oxford with a Rotary Club scholarship to spend a year and a half over there. Really great. So I have firsthand knowledge of the big impact that you all make, and we're very grateful for it. Keep it up. It's good stuff. So knowing how bashful you all are, and seeing several examples of what a tough room this is, I'm going to try to leave time, because I want to address what you want to speak about and give you time for questions. So I'm going to be very, very brief. I'll just begin by saying that I actually work for your incoming president, Leslie Red. She's everywhere, and when she tells me to show up, I do. She's already raised millions, and I mean that, for your new law school in Jacksonville. So don't look into her eyes, because, you know, who knows what will happen. She's incredibly able. She's told me that in the next 90 minutes, the 5 points that I should make to you are paying you back, right? So, Jacksonville deserves, and now it has, its own law school. And I will tell you that we all feel at the university and love and the law school, and I personally feel a heavy responsibility to deliver to you, to return your investment and your support. And we are determined just to have another law school, which we could do. The demand is so huge. The need is so great. But we are determined, and we are going to deliver to you a great law school that's unique in many ways. Now that sounds pretty highfalutin, but we're already doing it. And I'll tell you what I mean about that, and that is that we are going to be dedicated and committed to delivering the very best in legal education for the future. We're in the vanguard. We're more able to do that easily than other places for many reasons. One of them is it's harder, it's easier to build up brick by brick than to retrofit ongoing. So we're actually able to take the best from the past and build the best from the future. We're also committed to follow the example of Rotary, which is law is about more than winning and losing. It's about professionalism and ethics and community service and making a difference for other folks. So we're going to do that. So I'll just say the following very, very briefly. How is that possible? Well, first of all, like fine cooking, you start with good ingredients. And we have outstanding students who are largely drawn in this community. About half have recently come here from this community, and they are incredible. We call them the Fab 14. We're going to have more next fall. We're going to build up slowly, brick by brick. We're not going to go crazy and get out over our skis. I got to change that metaphor since I'm down south now. But, you know, we're going to, it's okay, huh? Okay. And we have phenomenal faculty. Now, you're the first people to hear this because of my great affection for Rotary and my great debt of obligation to how you helped me along my way. But in addition to the incredible faculty that we have right now, we're going to have 3 new faculty members in the fall, 3 women who are from outside of Florida. And each of these 3 people, who I'm very proud, I'm going to be very proud, sounding like Yoda. I'm very proud to be, you know, to announce or something, get my syntax mixed up. We're going to announce, and you're going to discover that these 3 teachers and academics are the leaders in each of their fields nationally. They're recognized leaders in each of their fields. I'm very excited about that. One is in criminal procedure and law, another is in the top person in legal issues arising from emergency response to weather and human-made calamities, and the other is an outstanding professor of legal research and writing communications. So that's great. The rest is possible because Jacksonville really itself is in the forefront of the vanguard. And I'll just give you one tiny example by way of evidence. You may have noticed that some of our government leaders in all branches of government have been a little sloppy with handling confidential. It affects everybody apparently. Well, I will tell you that from the start, from day one, our law students are being trained about the lawyer's responsibilities to serve business people and the community and their clients by responsibly handling documents, confidential information, and using the cutting edge techniques. And how are they aided by doing this? I will tell you right now with no exaggeration that the bench and bar and practicing lawyers and business people in Jacksonville are at the cutting edge of the use of digital means to communicate, protect, and also when something goes awry, actually find out what happened with forensic research. That's just one of many, many examples I could give. So I'll just end by saying this, and then I really hope that you have questions that I can respond to what's on your mind. I'm frequently asked, well, Mr. Big Shot, what are your biggest surprises coming to Jacksonville? And I'm just gonna mention two, but I'll start by saying not that much a surprise. I mean, Marla, my wife, and I have been frequent visitors, and we have many, many lifelong friends here. And so it's a real joy to come down and be based here and also to reunite and be supported so well by so many of our friends who are supporting us in so many ways of supporting the school. But one of the biggest surprises that I had was I made the decision because I believed and learned that the support and embrace of this community was tremendous, but I underestimated. As much as I thought that this was a primary reason why success is the only possibility, I did not anticipate how welcoming and how engaged and how eager for us to succeed every element of that. And the judges, Judge Mahan, Judge Corrigan, his colleagues, the civic leaders, the city council, the mayor, the business leaders, the restaurant owners, the people, everybody is interested. And that makes a huge difference. Now you can continue to support by cheering us on and finding other ways to support. We'll get back to you about that, but also, you know, considering hiring our students when they graduate, because that's a big factor that leads to law school's visibility and reputation. You also can do yourself some good by seeding the community with future great Rotarians by sending us people who are really well qualified and able to be good new lawyers and then become lawyers that come back and serve the community. So every single person in this room knows people of any age that would be good lawyers, whether they're paralegals or they're college graduates or they've been out in the workforce and now they have some experience under their belt. We're open for business, and if you send me a note, and we'll take it from there, or encourage them to contact either me at the law school or Dean of Admissions. If they can't find us on the web, then their research skills probably aren't up to being in law school, so that's a good check. But send us good people. Send us good people, and I'm really very serious about that. And I can't guarantee they'll be admitted because our standards are tremendously high. They'll be very proud to be in our country, but I can tell them they'll be treated with respect and every consideration, and a little extra consideration if they come from you all. The next surprise is, you know, I've had a pretty good career. I've been a leader in some of the biggest law firms, including the biggest law firm in the world. That's 13,000 lawyers, if you can believe that. And in the head of the profession and, you know, an academic and so on and so forth. So what I was not expecting was that my experience at Jacksonville is making me a better lawyer. It's like I'm getting as much, if not more, than I'm giving. And that's because the judges, the practitioners, and the people who are the customers of legal services are among the very best in the world, but they're in the vanguard, not of where law used to be, but where it's heading. I mean that sincerely. So those are my, and what I tell you, it's just an incredible joy to be in this position. Now, why in the world would, you know, at my advanced doddering age, would I come down and try to help build, which takes quite a bit of energy. I do have a lot of energy, and I have to do that to get out of the house, get moving. Otherwise, Marla lets me have it. She has a lot of energy, and so we're also eager to get to meet and to respond to what you want. But I do believe that in the spirit of Rotary Club, that law matters and that we can make a difference, and in many, many different ways. I was recently at a meeting with my friend and classmate, Judge Sotomayor, and the air went out of the room when she was asked, are you getting tired of writing so many dissenting opinions and being on the losing side so many times? And then she was asked another question that was like a punch in the side of the head is, you know, should lawyers just give up? Is the system so messed up that it's just pointless? Why should we carry on? And what she said brought the crowd to her feet. She gave a very inspiring talk about how lawyers and everybody in life, by just doing their jobs in an energetic and good faith way with ethics and dignity, make the world a better place. And she gave many examples for lawyers. And then she said something that really was like, you know, the corner in a prize fight, sending the boxer out back into the ring. She said, and by the way, you lawyers don't have a right to give up. You don't have a right to quit. You know, your job is to keep fighting the good fights. So that's what we're all about. We're not in this just to do well. We're in it to do good. I mean that sincerely. Mrs. Allard, my mother didn't bring up naive, idealistic people. We know we can do it over time. The arc of justice is long, but it's upward, and we're going to keep pushing it. We're going to make Jacksonville the center of that, all that. I hope we have some time for some questions.
Please.
Well,
Mr.
President, Charlie.
Somebody asked me a question. I did not know the answer. What is the accreditation process for a new school like this?
It is equivalent to a proctology exam on steroids. But we are going to thrive. See, everything we're doing is to make it absolutely impossible for them to say no. So here's the process. I'm actually going to answer your question. So next month, is it February? Yeah, no, March. In March, which is the earliest date that we can do, we're being very aggressive. I feel this huge responsibility to get provisional accreditation so that our current students will be allowed to take the bar exam when they graduate. So I'm tick, tick, tick. I'm hearing that clock like Marissa Tomei, a different kind of clock in My Cousin Vinny, if you all remember that one. We're going to notify, this is the process, in March. It has to be 12 months since the trustees formally voted last March. In March, we're going to notify the ABA, our overlords, our regulators, that we wish to be considered for accreditation. And then they initiate the application process, which consists of all sorts of forms and responses and details. But we are simultaneously going to be requesting the earliest possible site visitation for next fall. And so, and I've already put them on notice we're going to do that. And sometimes you can be delayed, not because we're ready and we're prepared, and we're getting prepared. But they can say, well, we only have time to do 6 of these. And I said, we are brand new. The other folks have been around. I've got these kids and I'm doing everything that we can to make sure that they get here. And then that'll afford us time for them to say, well, we really prefer the dean to comb his hair from the right side to the left instead of the left side to the right. And, you don't have your own vast library. And I'll say, well, look out my window at the 2 courthouses where and we have a courthouse, we have a library of the future in every respect. I'm actually very proud. I say, and by the way, since I'm the chair of the Law Library of Congress, I should have some credibility in talking about law libraries are no longer about being warehouses for a huge number of volumes and books. They're about being hubs of knowledge, centers for research and learning, and then centers for collaborative learning. No more in the library, at least some parts of the library. So then, after they have their site visit, they will review our material and get back to us. They'll tell us if we have a little bit, but we're shooting the spring of 2024 to hear from them whether we have provisional accreditation. Once we have provisional accreditation, our students will be eligible and able to sit for the Florida bar exam. I have a couple other aces up my sleeve that I won't disclose to you because I'd have to send you to Guantanamo Bay or something like that. So we're not relying just on that, but we should be home free. The second thing that happens if you get provisional accreditation is we will get accreditation. That takes another 2 or 3 years. Provisional is for all purposes good and will enable us to do everything we need to do. And we'll get full accreditation in 2 or 3 years. So it's a 3 or 4 year process. Yes. Does that answer your question, Charles?
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll talk about diversity, but not the diversity you're thinking about, or anybody else probably, but age and geographic diversity of the students that are in the program.
You remind me of a meeting I just had with one of our top professors, who himself was an acting dean, Scott DeVito. He said, Nick, I'd like you to review my article on let's get rid of diversity. It's not necessary. I said, are you kidding me? You know, you might as well grab the third rail. He says, no, I'm not that kind of diversity. I'm talking about diversity of jurisdiction. I said, well, you certainly had me going there. So in any event, we have, and law schools, I just wrote an article about this. When you go to law school in Jacksonville and you go to law school around the country increasingly, you are going to be able to find a law school where there are plenty of people who are like you, but also many, many people who are not like you. And so probably what law school admissions offices that are, who are good and successful, we are, what we're trying to do is deliver what it turns out to be the most valuable asset you can get from going to law school. And that is the relationships of the wonderfully alike and different colleagues and the relationships you form, which are lifelong. You know, all the rest is just icing on the cake. What I just described to you is the cake of it, really is. And those people help you learn. So at the law school, we have right now 14, 7 men, 7 women. Their ages, I think, and this is about 23, 24. The oldest is about in his 30s. The youngest is about 21 and a half. We are going to, as we take in more people, become more diverse. I will tell you, if somebody's in there, I just talked to a journalist in their 60s, who I am strongly urging to consider law school. Now, her career path is going to be different, but I will tell you one of the reasons is her presence, like a bench coach in baseball, is going to contribute so much to the learning and insights, and that she also can teach. As she's studying, she can teach, of course, on, you know, journalism for lawyers, journalism for business people, and have them take that.
How about geography?
Geography is deceptive. It would be easy to say that all 14 of our, by the way, right now we're getting applications from all over the country, and our faculty are from all over the country. Our students, the Fab 14, I think 12 of the 14 are from Jacksonville, but about half of those are recent arrivals. And they came here for a job, and then they wanted to go to law school, or they came here because of a spouse or a family move, and then they want to go to law school. And so they come, you know, pretty much from all over. Yes, sir.
After you're accredited,
sorry.
After you're accredited, what do you see the mature body of students being? What number per class do you see, and how many faculty do you see? Knowing it's like 5 years or so down the line.
Can't answer that question, because we are building the plane while we're flying it, and we're being very sensible we're not rushing. And in fact, for accreditation purposes, now I know there's tremendous support, but could I give you the number? But I'm going to guess, if quoted, I'm going to deny this. If you throw this back in my face at the 110th anniversary, I think it's going to be at least 120, at least, just because I feel that the demand is so strong. There's so much interest already in hiring for paying jobs, our students, that it just feel, and as Jacksonville grows so fast. So I would not be surprised, but the university is not dependent on that law school tuition. That's not part of the business plan. We're not having a law school to make money. We don't want to lose money. We're being very responsible. So that's a wishy-washy answer, but I just think it's going to be much bigger than it is right now. But we are going to not go out to 350, at Brooklyn Law School, we had 400 plus students a year. Right, so plus international students, plus LLMs. And we're going to have all sorts of programs that broaden the impact and outreach for people who have continuous education, non-students from Jacksonville University, who can, from Jacksonville community, who can take courses in particular areas. We'll have an evening program or a 4 or 5 year flexible program. We can't do that right away while we're seeking accreditation. So our outreach and coverage is going to be much larger. So the best answer I can give you, a much bigger student body that's real, which can deliver what you need. And you need the critical mass at some point to have these co-curricular programs of moot court, mock trial, law reviews, training, clinical programs. You need to have more people for that. So we're going to do that, but slowly. But we don't have a predetermined idea. We don't know what that site is gonna be. Yes, sir. And then I'll get the person back.
I'm curious as to what you see maybe currently and moving into the future, the focus of the university is of the law school, maybe compared to other law schools of the same genre, the same size, the same startups. And how is JU's focus different? And for instance, we're familiar with coastal law, but the focus they had. How would you describe the focus of the JU law school?
Well, we're distinct because we're part of a university on the move. And when I was doing my due diligence, it was well, first of all, one of the deciders was meeting Tim Cost, the president, and Force of Nature, Provost Sapienza. And their track record over the last 10 years has been 52 new academic programs and 2 new colleges, not including the law school and the recently announced College of Medicine, which they're launching. So the track record is pretty good. I'm not about to be the first one that doesn't, make it. So in terms of what we're looking for and what they expect and what they're looking for is success and contributions back. Something which we're doing with them to be fully integrated in the university to strengthen all the parts. And we're doing that. We're incorporating, even though we're located downtown, which is where we're always going to be. We're going to be downtown. It's only 11 minutes away out to Arlington. And then they have some other locations now. And I'll be unique. I spoke about this at our opening convocation. How are we different? What are we? I would not be as interested, even though I love law school and I think it's important to be just another law school. We are able to, because we're starting to be forward-looking, really future-oriented. What do people need to know? And so we are already marbleizing, I say, into the curriculum. It's not an add-on. We're marbleizing into, from the very first day, first week, first year, professionalism and ethics. See, traditionally in law schools, maybe some of you lawyers have this memory, you take a separate course at the end, or maybe in a bar review class for progression. We're infusing that in everything. Also, things that law schools don't teach, which are needed in the world. Teamwork, leadership, dealing with imperfect information, uncertainty. All the business people in this room know that you have to make decisions all the time with imperfect information, and that the world throws you a couple of curveballs all the time, a couple of surprises. And lawyers historically have been trained, and the law school model has always been much different because it's focused on appellate cases, which consist, and you read appellate cases, which consist of records that go up to the Court of Appeals. And so the facts and the information is inert. Doesn't change. You can say, well, that I can't answer that question because it goes beyond the record. I always have that effect on Leslie. She's heard it all before. Don't worry, I forgive you.
No one gracefully.
For me, I hope. Okay. How would you really talk about her? So anyway, I think I'm taxing all of your time and drawing to conclusion. I'd like to finish that thought up, but I think I probably said enough. My job was to talk, yours was to listen, and I hope we finished our work at the same time. So I just encourage any of you, have anything further on your mind, just give me a call, send me an email, and I'm happy to be in. And I'm out and about all the time, so don't hesitate to come over and ask me a question or start up a conversation. Thank you all very much.
We're going to be going out and about and enjoying the beverages with other groups.
Does it have to be a Diet Pepsi?
No.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, just a reminder, no luncheon meeting next week. Other reminders, there will be a board meeting to follow today's meeting. As we end our meeting, please join me by standing up. Join me in the four-way test of things we think, say, or do. First. Second.
Concern.
Third.
Will build goodwill and better friendships.
Fourth.
Will be beneficial for all.